Uh, what does it mean that real method is only applied when the general rate of inflation will be equal to specific rate of yeah. Now, in this case, normally you might have recollected that in some queries, in some illustrations, uh, they gave some specific rates for the cash flows like wages and other expenses, and they also gave the general rate of inflation. Suppose if these two are equal, it means the specific rate and the general rate of inflation is equal, then we might go with a real method. Now, a real method in the sense, I hope you can recollect, we can calculate NPV either by using money method or the real method, right? So you might have understood the difference in that. Suppose in case of money method, it means that when you are considering the monetary rate of interest, so in that case, we inflated the cash flows, right? And we used the money rate of return for calculating that. But in case of a real method, we didn't inflated the cash flows. Directly, we considered the real method as a discount factor. Then we calculated the present value. In simple, what I am trying to say here is, if both the rates are equal, if the specific inflation and the general inflation is equal, so we can directly go with the real method where no need to make any changes to the cash flows, but you can consider the real method as a discount factor and then you can go with the present value calculation. I hope I addressed your query. Is that clear? Good question. Very good question. And Ashish, I hope I'm audible. As I mentioned, by this weekend, I will be uploading all the recordings. Okay. So just wait for one more day. So this weekend, I will be doing all the recording. Will that be fine for you? Yeah. Okay. And after uploading, once you go through whatever sessions you missed, once go through, and if you find any difficulty in any specific element, always feel free to ask me. Don't worry about it. Okay. I think now we can go with the session.
Recording in progress.
So yesterday we had a discussion on the effect of tax on the NPV. Now we will be focusing on working capital. Now before here we do have a separate chapter for working capital, but here we'll discuss how this working capital will affect our investment appraisals. Nothing but our investment decisions. Okay. So any idea what do you mean by working capital? I hope most of you might have heard this term. What does this working capital mean? Yeah. Use it to fund the day-to-day operations of organization. Okay. Yes. So the capital required for meeting their operating requirements, nothing but for day-to-day requirements, is considered as working capital. Now, generally, the fund which is required to acquire the material or to pay the salaries to the staff and to meet other ancillary expenses. All these are these fund requirements are nothing but the working capital. Now, in what way we can link this working capital to our investment appraisal technique that we will be discussing here. Now, investment in a new project often requires an additional investment in working capital. It is the difference between short-term assets and the liabilities. Now, it means that when you start a project, no, definitely at the initial phase of the project, when you are starting it, we'll be funding it, nothing but we'll be requiring funds to invest in that particular project. But in addition to the initial investment, in some projects, we need to invest a certain amount to meet their working capital requirements. Suppose, let us assume that if any excess requirement is there, let us assume that during the period, the current liability of the companies are $1 lakh, but their current assets are only 80,000. Normally, the current assets should be sufficient to meet their current liabilities. But at the initial phase of the project, this may not be the situation. So the company might be bearing that the required funds. It means that whatever excess of current liability or the current asset is there, that particular excess should be funded by the organization. So that is nothing but the working capital. So in the project, in addition to the initial investment, this is, do remember, this is in addition to the initial investment. It means that the initial investment might be used to purchase the non-current assets, but this particular fund is used to meet their operational requirements, as I mentioned earlier. Now, how to deal with this? So, because in all the previous illustrations, we consider the cash outflow only for one time. It means at T0 period, we assumed the cash outflow and we assumed it as an investment. But in case of working capital, in addition to the T0, it is in addition to the start of the project, the company might be funding maybe at the middle of the project, or they might be funding at the beginning of every year. Normally, the working capital will be invested at the beginning of the every year. It means they will be expecting, they will be estimating the current year current liabilities and the current assets, and whatever the difference is there, that will be funded at the beginning of the year. So it means what I'm trying to say, working capital will be funded at the beginning of the year. So in this case, the investment will be not only at T0, it might be at T1, it might be at T2 or T3 or T4, or for the total life of the project. So in that case, how to deal with that particular investment? So the treatment of working capital is as follows. So initial investment is a cash outflow at the start of the project. And if the investment is increased during the project, the increase is a relevant cash flow. Do remember, if that investment is increased, that increase should be considered as a relevant cash outflow. And if the investment is decreased during the period, the decrease is a relevant cash inflow. And at the end of the project, all working capital is released and treated as cash inflow. It means that at the end of the project, we will be assuming that all the working capital will be released and we will be considering it as a cash inflow. Now, to calculate the working capital, first calculate the absolute amount of working capital needed in each period and work out the incremental cash flows required each year. So for a better understanding, we'll focus on a small illustration. So I think you can understand with this. Now here you can see a company expects sales for a new project to be $225,000 in the first year, growing at 5% per annum. The project is expected to last for 4 years. So the life of the project is 4 years. Working capital equal to 10% of annual sales is required and needs to be in place at the start of each year. So as I mentioned earlier, generally the working capital will be injected at the beginning of the year. So in this case also, the required working capital is 10%. 10% of annual sales and needs to be in place at the start of the year. So, sorry. Here the requirement is calculate the working capital flows for incorporating into the NPV calculation. So we need to calculate the working capital flow for working for calculating the NPV. Here they are not asking us to calculate the NPV, so we need to first go with the working capital calculations. Okay, so let me open my Excel sheet. So first here, just see the requirement, calculate the working capital flow. Okay. So total life of the project, they gave it as 4 years. Project life is 4 years. Wow. Your working capital is calculated on the basis of sales because it is 10% on annual sales. Right. So a company expects a sales for a new project to be 2,25,000 in the first year, and it increases by 5% per annum. So first year it will be 2,25,000. So that is the sale. And second year sales value will be, so it increases by 2,25,000. It increases by 5%. So the sales value that will be 2,36,250 in the second year, and similarly we should calculate for the third year. And fourth. So these are expected sales from the project for 4 years. Now working capital should be calculated at 10% on the sales. Yes. Now it is mentioned that working capital equal to 10% and it needs to be in place at the start of the each year. So it should be at the start of each year. So we are considering for the first year end. So one second, let me add one more column here. Yes. Yes. So the working capital for the first year would be here the expected sales at the end of the first year, we are expecting that 2,25,000. So at the beginning of the year, we need to fund. So the working capital requirement will be 10% on this. So it means 2,25,000. into 10%. So it means 22,500 is the requirement of working capital for the first year. It means first year in the sense at the beginning of the first year. I hope it is clear. Then T1. So T1, it should be 10% on the sales. It is expected sales to 2 lakh to 36,250. Then second year, 2,48,063 into 10%. And third year, I hope it is clear. It means that at the start of the project, we require 22,500 as working capital. At the start of the second year, we need a working capital of 23,625. And at the start of the third year, we require 24,806. And the beginning of the fourth year, we require 26,047 as the working capital. So let me know if you have any query. So before discussing the increment, the part, so is that clear or any question on this? Yes. Okay. You want me to show the calculation of working capital? Okay, I will be doing it. See, here in the requirement, in the question, they clearly mentioned that working capital is calculated 10% on the sales. So the first step, we calculated the sales, expected sales for every year. So expected sales for year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. And working capital should be calculated 10% on this. So as I mentioned, this working capital should be funded at the beginning of the year. We need to fund the working capital at the beginning of the year. So for T0, it means when you start the project, we are expecting that the year end of that particular project is sales of 2,25,000. So on this 2,25,000 at the rate of 10%, so we got an estimated working capital of 22,500. Right? And next one, so here most of the students might have confused. So just focus on this. It means when the project is started, we require a working capital of 22,500. Now we need to calculate the beginning of the second year. So how much working capital should be funded at the beginning, at the starting of the second year? So for that, I consider the sales, or for your better understanding, let me put like this. Start of the project, at the beginning of the project. Beginning of second year. Then beginning of third year. And beginning of fourth year. So start of the project, how much working capital will be deploying? 22,500. Beginning of the second year, we'll be funding 23,625. Beginning of the third year, we require 24,806. And beginning of the fourth year, we'll be investing 26,000. Now I hope it is clear. Is that clear? So it means initially, in addition to the investment, we need to invest 22,500 at the start of the project as working capital. And the second year starting, we need to invest 23,625. 23,625 is nothing but the expected sales at the end of the it means whatever sales which we are expecting. So in this case, you can see at the end of the second year, we are expecting a sales of 2,36,250 on that 10%. So that will be the working capital at the beginning of the second. So once again, I repeat, this 23,625 is calculated on the expected sales of the second year. We are expecting that the second year sales would be 2,36,250 on that 10%. So it will be 23,625. And we are expecting a sales of 2,48,062 for the third year on that 10%. So it will be 24,806. And we are expecting a sales of 2,60,465 at the end of the fourth year. And on that 10%, the working capital at the beginning of the fourth year would be 26,040. I hope it is clear now. So I am expecting response from the participants. Did you understood this? Before I go with the increment, now. Now, if you can recollect, as I mentioned, we need to assume that whatever we are investing at the beginning of the year towards the working capital, that will be recovered at the end of the year. So whatever we invest, that will be recovered at the end of the year. Now let me show the increment in the working capital. It is what is the incremental investment? Now I want participants to please carefully go through this. Yeah. Now incremental investment of working capital. Now generally at the beginning of the year, it means at the start of the project, we will be investing 22,500. But at the first year, how much working capital we require? At the beginning of the first year, how much working capital we need? We require 26,625, right? We need 23,625 as the requirement for working capital at the beginning of the first year. Now, I already mentioned that if you invest working capital at the beginning, we'll be recovering that amount at the end of the year. It means when you invested 22,500 at the beginning of the project, it means at the beginning of the first year, when you start the project, that amount will be recovered at the end of the first year. But at the beginning of the second year, how much we require? 23,625. So already we recovered 22,500. So the difference, that is 23,625 minus 22,500. So the difference 1,125 is considered as investment. It means at the beginning of the second year, company need to invest 1,125 as working capital. Let me clarify once again. See, at T0, at the start of the project, company invested 22,500, and this complete 22,500 will be recovered at the end of the first year. Now, when it comes to the investment of working capital at the beginning of the second year, just see this. At the beginning of the second year, I need 23,000. Company requires 23,625 as working capital. Already, company is having 22,500. So the difference, so 23,625 minus 22,500, so the difference 1,125 is nothing but the working capital investment for the second year. Now for the third year, can anyone let me know what will be the investment for the third year? Yes. How much we should invest towards the working capital at the beginning of the third year? 1,181. Okay. So let me see whether it is correct or wrong. 24,806 minus 23,625. Very good. So 1,181 is the working capital investment for the third year. I hope it is clear for all. Any query? Next. Fourth year. $26,046 minus 24,806. 1240. Okay. And at the end of the fourth year, so you need to be very careful on this. At the end of the fourth year, the total, this is the beginning of the fourth year. Now, end of the fourth year, the total working capital will be recovered. So as I mentioned, whatever you invested, the total amount will be recovered. So how much we will be recovering at the end of the fourth year now? Total 26,046 will be recovered. I hope it is clear. Any question? Yes, let me know if you have any query on this. $26,046 is nothing but, see, as I already mentioned, if you invest, working capital is nothing but the capital which is used to meet the day-to-day operations. So at the beginning of the fourth year, if I invest if I require 26,046 as a working capital, at the end of that particular fourth year, I will be recovering the total amount. Okay, or for your better understanding, let me give an example. Suppose I want everyone to please focus on my example. A company requires 20,000 for purchasing the raw material. Company requires 20,000 for purchasing the raw material. So after purchasing the raw material, they will process the raw material and they will convert it into finished goods, and those finished goods will be sold in the market. And this complete process will be done in a period of 1 year. So it means if I purchase a raw material on 1st January 2020 by investing 20,000, I can recover total 20,000 by 31st December 2020. So in this case also, if I purchase the raw material with 26,046 at the beginning of the 4th year, I will be recovering total 26,046 at the end of the 4th year. That's why we generally say it as current asset or current liability. It means if you can convert the asset into cash in a period of 1 year, we say it as current. So in this case also same assumption we are considering. Working capital, the capital which can be recovered in a period of 1 year in simple language. I hope you understood it, Ashish. So the total increment investment working capital is recovered or received back at the end of exactly correct. So whatever you invested, that will be recovered at the end of the year. Okay. So in this case also, at the beginning of the project, how much I invested? 42,500. The complete amount, whatever we invested on the project towards the working capital, that will be recovered at the end of the project. And in some situations, in some particular projects, the working capital may not continue up to the end of the project. Suppose, let me take an example. So this is my year 1 and year 2 and year 3. I want everyone to clearly focus on this. You can easily understand the current, the concept of working capital. Okay. Suppose my current assets in the year 1. My current assets at the year 1 is 40,000. And current liabilities is 50,000. So this is it. It means at the beginning of the year, I am expecting that my year-end current assets will be 40,000 and year-end current liabilities would be 50,000. Now, how much excess fund I need to bring into the project in order to fulfill my working capital requirement? How much I need to bring into the project? Very good. 10,000. Correct. So, I need to invest a working capital of 10,000 at the beginning of the first year. It means if I invest 10,000 at the beginning of the first year, I can fulfill all my working capital requirements. Okay. Now, in the second year, so how much I invest at the beginning of the first year towards the working capital? 10,000, right? Now, second year, let us assume that my current assets are 70,000 and my current liabilities are 50,000. Do I need to bring any working capital in this case? No. It means that whatever I invested towards the working capital at the beginning of the year, that is already recovered. Now for the second year, I don't need to bring any additional working capital. So the difference, how much difference is there? 20,000 is there, right? So this 20,000, I will consider it as cash inflow. It is not cash outflow because I am not investing in this. So what I am trying to say, the working capital will be generally calculated on the estimated current assets of that year
and the estimated current liabilities. These are only estimates. These are not the true values. See, in order to get the true values, we need to wait up to the year end, right? But as a finance manager, when you are starting the project, you should also think about the requirement of working capital. Now, I believe most of you might be aware, if you start a new project, definitely for few years, it means maybe for first year or second year, they will be facing the working capital issues, right? Because the project may not be having enough market in the beginning of the project. So definitely they need to bring extra funds to fulfilling their operational requirements. So when you are considering or when you are evaluating the viability of a project, you should also consider the expected investment of working capital in the project. Now, I believe you understood the concept. Okay, here the good question. Yeah, only 26,046 is the relevant cash inflow. Perfectly correct. Yes. All the remaining first, second, third is the relevant cash outflow, and the 26,046 at the end of the fourth year is the relevant cash inflow. Correct. Any question? Is that clear? Yes. Shall we go with next illustration on working capital? So a company anticipates sales for the latest venture to be 1 lakh units per year, and the selling price is expected to be 3 per unit in the first year, inflated by 8% per annum over the 3 years life of the project. Now the working capital equals to 10% of annual sales and is required and needs to be in place at the start of the each year. So this is similar to the previous query. I hope you can consider it as your homework. So will you try this? Yes. So here number of units are given and the selling price is given. And this particular selling price is going to inflate by 8% over 3 years life. So I hope you can try this. I want your response. Will you be trying this? Yeah. Now this is very, very important. Laying out long NPV questions. As I mentioned, we can expect 20 marks question from NPV calculation. So for majority of investment appraisal questions, the following pro forma is recommended. So here you can see first net trading revenue. It means the inflows and outflows from the trading. Now generally, how we will be getting this net trading revenue? Sales minus whatever the cash flows, operating cash flows are there. If you deduct that, we'll be getting net trading revenue. And if there is any inflation is there, we need to inflate it. And then we should consider the tax payable. So the net trading revenue into tax rate, and as I mentioned, tax is paid in arrears. Then the investment, and if any investment that should be considered. Then residual scrap value may need inflating, but usually given in the monetary terms. Anyway, we'll solve an illustration with that. You can clearly understand all these steps. And after yesterday also we did a similar question where we considered this tax relief and the tax payable. And after considering the tax relief, if any working capital investment is there, that should also be considered. These are the 5 common steps for dealing with an inflation. Okay. Now we'll discuss a question of NPV with inflation and tax. So before starting the discussion, I want everyone to please go through it once. This is a full-fledged question on this. So Agbono Co is considering a potential project with the following forecast. Initial investment was $1,000 and disposal proceeds is 200 at the end of the project, and demand in million of units is 5, 10 and 6. The selling price per unit is expected to be $100 and the variable cost is 30 per unit, and both of these figures are given in today's terms. So tax is paid at 30% 1 year after the accounting period concerned. So it means that tax is paid in arrears. Now working capital will be required equal to 10% of annual sales, and this will need to be in place at the start of each year. Tax allowable depreciation is available at 25% reducing balance. The company has a real required rate of return of 6.8%. General inflation is predicted to be 3% per annum, but the selling price is expected to inflate at 4% and variable cost by 5% per annum. Determine the net present value of the project. So before we go with the discussion, I want everyone to please once go through this information. So just I will be giving 2 minutes time. Please once. Done. Yes. So in this case, we need to calculate the NPV. So for calculating NPV, we need the cash flows, net cash flows, and how to get the net cash flows? Can anyone? For calculating NPV, we need the net cash flows. So from this query, how can we can calculate the net cash flows? Yes. Yes, inflow minus outflow. You are saying about NPV, net present value. But my question is, yeah, inflow minus outflow. Can you be please clear on this? By inflating selling price and then multiplying with the demand, inflate selling price and variable cost and add them. Naina, do we need to add selling price and variable cost, or we need to deduct selling price minus variable cost in order to get cash flow? See, uh, during the year, I sold 10,000 and I incurred 6,000. Now, what will be my cash? 10,000 minus 6,000, 4,000. It means I'm deducting my variable cost from the selling price. So, same concept we apply here. So, if you deduct variable cost from the sales, then we'll get cash flow, nothing but the operating cash flow. Now, only that, or do we need to make any adjustments to that? Yes. So, in this case, in order to get the net cash flow, first, as I mentioned, sales minus variable cost, then we'll be getting operating flow. And from that, we need to adjust the tax, whatever tax which is paid by the company. And after considering the tax, then we should also consider the tax relief, because here we can claim depreciation. So the tax relief part is there. And they are investing in additional funds also towards working capital. So if you adjust all these things, then we'll be getting the operating or the net cash flow. Okay. So here the always it is recommended, if you find these kind of queries, so always it is recommended to first go with the working notes. Now, can anyone let me know what are the two working notes which we need to do here? Yeah, yeah. Yes, sales 4% and variable cost 5%. Now, my question is, what are the working notes which we need to prepare? Don't directly go with the question. First, we need to do the working notes. So, what are the working notes? Yeah, working capital, perfect, very good. Cash flows, okay. So, first working notes here is we need to consider the inflated revenue and the variable cost, and we should calculate. Do we need to calculate the tax effect? So we need to go with the tax savings, because in this case the depreciation is also there. So we should go with the depreciation part also. Okay. Yeah. Now first let me go with the calculation. So I request everyone to please focus on it. First sales. So what will be the sale for the first year? So for the first year, demand in million units is 5. And the selling price per unit is expected to be 100. And the variable cost is 30 per unit. And both of these figures are given in today's terms. Right? General inflation is predicted to be 3% per annum, but the selling price is expected to inflate at 4%, and the variable cost is 5%. So what will be the sales for the first? Total units is 5 units, 104. Let me do this. So, sorry. So the total demand for the units is 5 million into the selling price per unit is 100 into it is going to increase by. So what is the inflation rate for selling price? 4%. Is that clear? Let's see the formula. Total demand in the year 1 is 5 million. And the selling price per unit is 100. And we are expecting that the selling price is going to inflate by 4%. So it will be 520. Let me know if you have any query on this. Is it clear about the sale for the first year? Then the sale for the second year. So the total demand is 10 million into selling price per unit. Now, how much I should consider here selling price per unit? Anyone? $97. See, or let me put in this way so that you will be understand. 1 second. Working note 1. Selling price per unit, just see this one. Year 1, year 2, and year 3. So year 1, it would be 100 into 1 plus 4%. I believe this working note will be clear for me. And year 2, I hope now it is clear. Selling price per unit. Yes, perfect. Now we will be going with variable cost per unit also. Anyway, next step that is also. So, variable cost per unit. So variable cost per unit, the first year would be, how much they give variable cost? 30 per unit. So 30 into 1 plus, what is the inflation rate for variable cost? 5%. Second year, and third year. So I hope working notes 1 is clear. Is that clear? Yeah. Now directly we'll go with the calculation. So the sales for the first year would be total number of units is 5 million into the first year selling price per unit is 104. So it will be 520 and the sales for the second year would be number of units for the second year is 10 or 10 million into selling price per unit for the second year is 108.1. And the third year total number of units is 6 million into and the selling price per unit 112.4. So this is our sales for the year 1, 2 and 3. Okay. Now from this we need to deduct the variable cost. So variable cost for the first year, that is 5 into variable cost per unit is 31.5. So variable cost for the first year will be 157.5. Second year total number of units 10 into variable cost is 33.075. So it will be 330.75. And third year 6 into 34.70. So the variable cost would be 20. So sales minus variable cost. So 520 minus 157.5. So it will be 362.5. So sales minus variable cost, we got 362 point for the first year. So this we consider it as operating cash. Now let me know whether you understood up to this. Is that clear? Any question up to this part? Yes. So let me know so that I can proceed. Now operating, we got operating cash flow. Now immediately after calculating the operating cash flow, the next thing is tax payable. Right? We need to calculate the tax amount. Okay. So you want me to explain the selling price? Okay. See, just see the working notes 1 for selling price per unit. So here it is mentioned that the selling price per unit is expected to be 100. And both this selling price and the variable cost is given as per the today's terms. And we are expecting that selling price will increase by 4% per annum. So in order to calculate the first year selling price per unit, that is 100 selling price per unit, and it is increasing by 4%. So 100 plus 4%. Here you can see the formula. Okay. So we got 104 as the selling price per unit for the first. Second year 104 plus another 4% increase. So 104 plus 4% will be getting 108.16. And the third year 108.16 plus 4%. It will be 112.49. This is selling price per unit. Okay. And when it comes to the sales, the number of units sold in the first year is, the demand is 5. So 5 million into 104, it will be 520. Then number of units sold is 10 in the second year. So 10 into 108 will be 1081. And similarly, the number of units in the third year is 6 million. And 6 million into 112.48, it will be 674.88. I hope it is clear now. Yes. So operating, after calculating the operating cash flow, yeah, we can round off also, no issue. So directly you can, instead of 157, you can show it as 158. Okay, you can do that. Now, after getting the operating cash flow, we need to calculate the tax. Now, what is the tax rate of the company? How much they gave? 30%. So tax at the rate of 30%. So how much I should consider for the first year as tax? Now I am very much interested to know the answer. What will be the tax which I should show in the first year? Zero. Very good, Neeraj. Yes, perfect. Because generally tax amount is paid in 1 year area. So there will not be any tax for the first year. And what will be the tax for the second year? So our operating cash flow is 362.5. So 362.5 into the tax rate 30%. So it will be 108.75. Yes. Third year 750.85 into 30%. Now, why we are taking fourth year? Because the third year tax will be paid in the fourth year. Okay. So it will be 466.56. So I hope the tax calculation is also clear. Any question on this tax? Then try to observe the steps also. These steps are very, very important. First the sales, then variable cost, then we got operating cash flow, then we calculated tax. So I recommend you to follow the same step when you're dealing with these kind of queries. Okay. So is that clear up to now? Any queries? Yes. Now, after tax, do remember if any sale proceeds are given at the end of the project, that should be taken. So nothing but residual value. So I think they give residual value, right? Yeah, disposal proceeds is 200 at the end of the project. So we'll be receiving a cash inflow of 200 at the end of the project. So that should also be considered. Okay. Now, after residual value, the next step should be tax relief. After tax, residual value, and after residual value, the next step should be tax relief. Now, I hope most of you might be aware about this tax relief calculation, how we need to do this. Now, generally, how we will get the tax relief? We did tax relief calculation, if you can recollect. Yeah. How we will get the tax saving? A tax relief or tax saving? Anything we can write. If you're confused with this, you can write it as tax saving. So how we will get tax saving? Yes. So this tax savings we will be getting on the depreciation. Yes, on written down value. Very good. So we need to open a separate working note on this. So the depreciation for the first year. So here the total investment is 1000 and depreciation should be calculated at the rate of 25% on reducing balance method. So the depreciation for the first year would be 1000 into 25%. So it will be 250, correct? Very good. And the written down value will be 70. So it means 1000 minus 250. So it is 70. And what will be the depreciation for the second year? 750 into 25. So it will be 187. So this will be the depreciation for the second year. Okay. And third year. And do remember, in the third year, we are disposing the asset. Third year, we are disposing the asset and we are disposing it for 200. So we won't charge any depreciation. But for the third year, we will be considering the. So what will be the term which we generally use at the disposal year? Sale? No. My question is, when we are disposing the asset in the third year, we won't generally charge the depreciation because depreciation should not be charged when when the asset is disposed. Now, instead of depreciation, we'll be using a specific word, balancing allowance or balancing charge. Now we need to see whether it is an allowance or a charge. Okay. So how we will get the balancing allowance or charge? Yeah. So we will be comparing the written down value. So first we should calculate the written down value for the second year. How much it will be? 750 minus 187. Yeah. So the written down value is 562. And so the balancing allowance for the third year would be 562.5 minus we sold it for 200. So we got a balancing allowance of 362. Is it allowance or charge? 362. Because your return on value is 562.5, but you sold it for only 200. Yes, because it is a loss on disposal, so we should consider it as allowance. Okay. So I hope up to here it is clear. Any question? Yes, it is allowance. Now the tax saving. Now what will be the tax saving for the first year? Sure. Tax saving. What will be the tax saving for the first year? Can I claim any tax saving for the year one? Because the taxes are paid in arrears. So there will not be any tax saving for the first year. Okay. Yes, it is for year two. Perfect. So the tax saving for the year two would be 250. That is, sorry. Tax saving for the year would be 250. That is the depreciation into tax rate 30%. So it will be 75 for the second year, and the third year it should be 187.5 into 30%. So it would be 56.25, and the fourth year it should be 362.5 into 30%. So I hope you are clear with the tax savings. Any question? Any query on this? Yes. Okay, let me repeat the calculation. See, generally taxes are paid in arrears. Already we discussed that particular point. So whatever, because it is paid in arrears, so for second year, we need to take the depreciation of the first year. Because the depreciation will reduce your tax, it will save your tax. So in order to know the exact amount of tax saving, so the depreciation amount, that is 250 into the tax rate 30%. So 250 into 30%, we got 75 as tax saving for the second year. And the third year, so the third year tax saving should be calculated on the depreciation of the second year. It means 187.5 into 30%. And the fourth year tax saving should be calculated on the balancing allowance of the third year. That is 362.5 into 30%. So second year 75, third year 56.25, and fourth year 10.875. 108.75. This is the tax saving. Now these tax savings will be taking in our calculation. So second year tax saving is 75. Third year 56.25. And fourth year it is 108.7. Now we almost at the end of the question query. Now we're done with the tax saving. Then the last element is working capital. I hope you might have observing the step sales less variable cost, then operating will get operating cash flow, then tax, then residual value, then tax saving, and the last one is your working capital. Okay. So for calculating the working capital, we need to open another working note. And in your query, see, you need to clearly mention from where you got this value. Suppose here sales in bracket, just mention it as working note 1, right? Variable cost also, working note 1. Your examiner will be saying these points, right? And tax directly we calculated, and tax saving. I hope it is clear. Then working capital, sorry, working note 3. Now, how we will be calculating the working capital requirement? First, we need to calculate the working capital requirement and the increment. Nothing but how much we are investing. These are the two things which we need to do. So here working capital should be calculated 10% on annual sales. So sales for the first year 520. Second year sales 1081. And the third year 675. So these are the sales. So the working capital required would be so what will be the working capital for the first year? It means the T0 at the start of project. What is the required working capital? $52. Then beginning of the first year, $108.2. Very good. Into 10%. Then second year, $67.5. I hope it is clear. Then working capital investment, nothing but increment. So how much we will be investing for T0? So for the T0, we will be investing 52. Then $108.2 minus. So this is 56.2 for the first, right? And second year, anyone? Yes, second year, how much we will be investing? Actually, if you see, the second year requirement is 67.5. So will it be a relevant cash inflow or outflow? Yes, very good. It will be a in. Yes. Yeah, we won't invest. Perfect. It is an inflow. Perfect. So we need to assume it as an inflow. We need to show it as an inflow. Okay. So that's why I'm showing it in bracket. Okay. Approximately it is 40. I hope it is clear. And third year, whatever the second year investment is there, total amount will be recovered. Okay. Any query on this? Is that clear? Yes. So here, working capital we need to show. Uh, Working capital investment calculation is done in another way. So what way they calculate it? Okay. So first we'll go with the question, then we will do. Okay. See, repeat the, see, here do remember, if you can recollect when we are discussing about the working capital investment, say at the year one, it means at the beginning of the project, we are investing 52, that is relevant cash outflow towards the investment. How we got the 52? In the working notes 3, you can see it will be, it is calculated on the sales. So we are expecting that the end of the first year, the sales is 520 on the 10%. So we will be requiring a working capital of 52 at the start of the project. And similarly for the first year, we will be considering the expected sales for the second year, that is 1082 on the 10%. So the working capital requirement would be 108. And similarly for the second year working capital requirement, we would be considering the expected sales of the third year. So here the expected sales of the third year is 675. on that 10%, the required working capital for the second year would be 67.5. Now, the next step is how much we need to invest in the project. It means what should be the investment. Anyway, for the beginning of the project, we need to invest 52 in addition to the 1000 million. So that is for T0, nothing but for the first year. It means at the beginning of the project, sorry, at the beginning of the project. And next important thing is at the beginning of the first year, at the beginning of the first year, how much amount we need to invest. Okay, so it means that we will be investing. Now here, don't confuse. I think most of the students might be confused here. Beginning of the first year in the sense, this 56.25, this particular amount, we are assuming that this particular amount should be invested in a project, 56.25. And in the second year, we will be investing. And in the second year, sorry, in the second year, actually the working capital requirement was decreased because previously it was 108, now it is only 67.5. So the difference of decrease is around 40. Now this 40, we assume it as relevant cash inflow. And similarly, for the last year, we generally assume that the working capital which is invested will be completely recovered at the end of the third year. So that's why there will not be any investment in the third year. We assume it as a relevant cash inflow. And Tarun, what difference you found in the text? I didn't get you. Does the answer differ? Okay. Now the next one is the final. We need to put this information in our main calculation. So working capital for the first year. From 56 points. And third year, here we are assuming it as outflow, sorry, inflow. Any queries? Is that clear? So before going with the net cash flows, let me know if you have any question on. Yes. T0, how much it is? 52, right? Yeah. We'll be considering the T0. See, generally, instead of showing this T0, directly we can do it in the calculation part. The working capital investment for the third year is negative. See, negative in the sense, see, just try to understand the difference. See, in the first year, we got it as 56.2. It means that company need to invest. It is a relevant cash outflow. That is 56.2 is a relevant cash outflow. And in case of second year, it is a relevant cash inflow. So why it is a relevant cash inflow? If you consider the difference, you can understand this. Just see this one. Because we expected that the first year working capital requirement is 108, but in the second year the expected working capital requirement is only 67.5. So there is a decrease in the working capital requirement. So that's why we will assume it as a relevant cash inflow. Okay, is that clear? Yeah. Now, just focus carefully. Now, first we'll calculate the cash flows, that is net cash flows. So for calculating the net cash flows, this is very, very important. Operating cash flow we already got for the first year, that is 362.5. And we are investing an additional cash outflow of 56.2. It means that there is a cash outflow. Okay. So the net cash flow for the first year would be 362.5 minus 56.2. So the net cash flow, it would be 306. And for the second year, our operating cash flow is 750.85 minus there is a cash outflow towards the tax 108.75, right? And we got a tax saving. So tax saving is nothing but a cash inflow. So 75 minus, sorry, this is a cash inflow only, no? So plus 40. So the total net cash inflow for the second year would be 757.1. And similarly for the next year, the total operating cash flow is 466.56 minus cash outflow of 220.55. Then there is a residual value, we are recovering it. So plus 200. Then there is a tax saving of 56.25. So plus 56.25 and plus the relevant cash inflow towards the working capital. So that is 68. So the total net cash flows were 565.5. Right? And in the fourth year, now fourth year actually there is a cash outflow of 139.968 and there is a tax saving of 108.75. So the net amount will be so let me know whether you understood or not. Is that clear? Any question up to now? Now the total present value, oh sorry, these are the cash flows. Now we need to take the discount factor. So discount factor, here they gave that the company has a real required rate of 6.8%. Now can we consider 6.8% as our discount factor? Yes. The company real rate of return, they gave it as 6.8%. So what should be the discount factor now? I hope you got my query. Now we inflated the cash flow. When we inflated the cash flows, so we need to consider real rate of return for discount factor or money rate of return. Money rate. Yes. Now you will be getting answer for this, the inflation, general inflation rate of people. So we need to consider the money rate. So how to calculate the money rate? So money rate, so formula 1 plus1 plus R into 1 plus H. So it means that 1 plus R, that is 6.8% into 1 plus H. H is nothing but general price index, nothing but general inflation rate. So how much they gave general inflation rate? 3%. So we got a money rate of 10%. I hope it is clear. So the money rate will be so 0.104, nothing but 10%. So discount rate at the rate of 10%. So what will be the discount rate for the first year? 1 divided by 1 plus 10%, 0.909. I will be explaining that. Okay. See that first year it is not 52, it is not related to the first year, it is T0 period. It means when we start the project. Okay. Here the reason for not taking the real rate is when we are considering the cash flows, we inflated the cash flows, right? We didn't took actual cash flows here. We adjusted the cash flows because we considered the inflated sales and we considered the inflated variable cost. Now it means if you are inflating the cash flow, in that case, you need to consider the money rate. If you are not inflating the cash flows, you should consider the real rate. Once again, I repeat, if you are inflating the cash flows, you need to consider the money rate. If you are not inflating the cash flows, you should consider the real rate. Now, in this case, we inflated the cash flows, right? We adjusted the sales. We are not considering the same sales every year. We adjusted as per the inflation rate. So that is the reason we should not go with the real rate of it. I hope it is clear. So finally, the present values. Now the sum of present value. So we got the total sum of present values as 1307.74 minus investment. Now in case of investment, actually initially you invested 1000 and at T0, here you can see we invested a working capital investment of 52. At T0, we invested a working capital investment of 52. That you can add. So the total investment will be 1052. So the net present value should be NPV is equal to 1307 minus 105. So the final NPV of the project is 255.74. So this is the calculation, and you can expect this query for 20 marks. Compulsory to inflate the cash flow. If we don't, we can use the real rate. Now, generally, in case of inflation, suppose if you find these kind of queries, suppose if the general inflation rate and the specific inflation rate differs. Once again, I repeat, if the general inflation rate and the specific inflation rate differs, definitely you need to inflate the cash flows. And again, the real rate should be converted into present value for discounting it. That is compulsory. Okay. Suppose if you are not inflating, once again, I clarify this. Suppose if the general rate is 3% and selling inflation rate is also 3% and variable cost is also 3%. In that case, no need to inflate the cash flows unless and until they specifically ask you to do that. If general and the other inflation rates are same, no need to inflate the cash flows. Directly, you can consider the real rate and you can go with the NPV calculations. I hope it is clear now. Is that clear? Yeah. Now here, let me explain the net cash flows once again. Just see this. So for the first year, the operating cash flow is 362.5. And from this 362.5, we'll be deducting the first year investment towards the working capital. That is 56.2. So then it will be 306.3. Second year, our operating cash flow is 750.85. We are deducting a tax of 108.75. And we do have a tax saving. So that's why we will be adding this tax saving. And there is a relevant cash inflow towards the working capital of 40. So this 40 will also be added. So just here you can see this. So we got the cash inflow for the second year. Similarly, for the third year, the operating cash flow is 466.56. We'll be deducting the tax 225.55. And the residual value is there 200. Residual value is nothing but we are recovering a cash. We are receiving a cash at the end of the project. So that 200 we'll be adding it. Then there is a tax saving of 56.25. So that will also be added. And there is a relevant cash inflow for the working capital 68. So that will also be added. So the total value will be 565.55. And in case of the next year, there is a tax of 139. It is a cash outflow, but there is a tax saving of 108. So if you deduct the tax saving from the tax payable amount, then the difference will be 31. That is, it is a cash outflow of 31.21. So these are the net cash. Yeah, here initial investment is 1000, but we need to invest working capital at the beginning of the project. If you can recollect in our working capital calculations, we invested 52 at the beginning of the project, right? So this 52 plus the initial investment 1000. So the total investment comes to 1050. Is that clear? So here, just a small assignment I will give you. So from chapter 4, from this particular chapter, just practice some questions from your examination kit. On Monday, we will be discussing some previously asked questions from this chapter, and we'll also focus on some questions from the exam kit. So on Monday, complete session will be on this one. Because once again, I repeat, this is compulsory for 20 marks. Initial investment is only used. Yes. Any other query? Yeah, let me show the incremental rate one second. See, at the beginning of incremental rate is nothing but how much you are investing towards the working capital at the beginning of the project. So generally at the beginning of the project, I required a working capital of 52. So I invested it in 52. So it means that at the beginning of the project, we considered 52 as working capital investment. And at the first year, so generally in the first year, it is 56.2 because actually the required estimated working capital at the beginning of the first year, 108.2. And so it is increased. How much it increased? Previously it was only 52. Now the requirement is 108.2. So the excess, the difference should be considered as incremental investment. So that is 56.2. But when it comes to the next year, the requirement was only 67.5. So it decreased. So whatever the decrease in the requirement is there, that we assume it as a relevant cash inflow. So that's why we consider it in minus. I hope it is clear now. Yeah, money rate calculation. So the formula for money rate calculation is 1 into H. It means 1 plus H into 1 plus I. So here you can see the formula for calculation is 1 plus H. H is nothing but, sorry, 1 plus R, that is nothing but real rate of return, into 1 plus H. H is nothing but general inflation rate, that is 3%. So if you multiply these two, we'll be getting 1.10. So 1.10 minus 1, so we'll be getting 0.10, nothing but 10% is your money rate. I stands for money rate, correct. So 1 plus I is equal to 1 plus R into 1 plus H. Okay. So once go through this calculation. So if you have any query, you can get back to me on Monday.
Excuse me, sir.
That 68, whatever the working capital is there, that is recovered. Yeah. Yes. What is your query?
In the textbook answer, T0 and T
Sorry, T0.
working capital incremental value is given negative, and T1 is given as negative value, and T2 and T
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. See, don't confuse here.
as a positive
Yeah.
value.
Here, what I'm saying is 52 is a cash outflow and 56.2 is a cash outflow. Okay. Cash outflow. See, don't confuse with these minus figures. So try to understand the concept. What I'm trying to say here is in the beginning of the project and at the beginning of the first year, we are having 52 and 56.2. Nothing but we need to invest an additional funds towards the working capital. But the second year and third year, we will be receiving a relevant cash flow because the estimated working capital has been decreased. Suppose here you can see it was 1082. Here you can see, but the expected is only 67. It was 1082.2, but we need only 67 points. So that's why we consider it as a decrease in the requirement and we assume it as a relevant cash in. And study text, can I know what is the NPV? How much they got? Is it same or NPV different?
Same NPV, sir.
Okay. So I think you might have confused with the negative symbol before these two amounts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So see, once again, please be clear with this. Initial 2 years, that is 0 plus 1, we are investing in the project. But the next 2 years, we are assuming it as a relevant cash flow because the requirement has been decreased. Okay. So once you go through it and go through examination kit queries also, so definitely you will be getting some doubts. I am 100% sure about that because there are certain questions in exam kit. So please go through that. On Monday, the complete session will be on exam kit query discussions on this particular LPG calculation, on especially this particular model, which includes working capital, tax saving, and general and specific inflation. So please focus on these kind of queries. Once again, I repeat, your question need to consist of working capital, tax saving, general and specific inflation. So try to search these kind of questions in the examination. Go through that. We'll have a discussion on that on Monday. Okay. Is that clear? Okay. So that's it for today. So have a good day. So we'll meet on